Welcome to the Intimate Marriage Podcast, where I teach educated, successful couples how to have incredible, passionate relationships so that you can stop compromising and start feeling fully alive in your relationship. I'm your host, Alexandra Stockwell, aka the Intimacy Doctor. I'm a physician and an intimate marriage expert. My husband and I have been married for 26 years. We have 4 children and full professional lives, and we've created an amazing relationship. I've shown hundreds of couples how to do so as well. So if you want to deepen your understanding of your own relationship and learn to access new heights of emotional, sensual, and erotic intimacy, you're in the right place. I will show you how. So let's dive in. Post-Valentine fallout. Do you know what I'm talking about? There definitely are no Hallmark cards for post-Valentine fallout. And I hope you had a really fantastic Valentine's Day. I hope it was special and delicious and sensual and really suitable for you and your partner and the ways that you chose to celebrate. I hope you had a lot of fun doing your favorite frames. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, listen to the episode before where I describe how to do favorite frames to help anchor in all the goodness that you've both shared. But if that's not your experience, then this episode is for you. And when talking about navigating post-Valentine fallout, let me start by telling you about my client, Linnea. She reached out to work with me, she and her husband, in the first week of January last year. Why? Because they've been together for 15 years, and she noticed that their relationship is great. It really is very good, and she wouldn't have thought to reach out, except every single year from around February 10th to the end of February, they fight. They annoy one another, they trigger one another, they get on one another's nerves. And it's like there's just too much pressure to have a perfect Valentine's Day to match their wonderful, wonderful marriage. Plus, her birthday is February 20th. And so the combination, honestly, hearing the two of them talk, my heart went out to her husband, who's responsible for providing a fantastic Valentine's Day and a week later, a really special birthday because she likes to be celebrated. She likes to be honored. She likes to be cherished. And she's a perfectionist. She's a type A, cross T's, dot I's, super high achieving, really incredible woman. And their marriage is very collaborative and supportive, except that she has these high standards for Valentine's Day and her birthday a week later. And lo and behold, no matter what this man did, she was frustrated, resentful, and it came out sideways, and they'd end up fighting. It's like they would dread February, the second half of February, knowing that once March came, they were good to go. So, like any high achieving type A, really fantastic woman who has a great marriage, she wanted to problem solve and change this pattern. So last year, they reached out to work with me in January, and it was incredible working with them because they were both self-aware, emotionally intelligent, and really good at managing their teams. They didn't work together, but she had a team of about 20 in her company, and he was also an entrepreneur. He had 6 employees, but regardless, They were both well loved, good relationships with their staff, very successful, as I've said, and fighting, fighting, fighting the end of February. Well, last year was a peaceful, beautiful month of February for them. I fully anticipate that this February will be as well. Thinking about recording this episode, I reached out to Linnea and checked in, and she said, "Oh, yeah, they're ready." So I want to tell you how to get ready if this is something that you're challenged by. The first thing is if you feel disappointed, if you feel resentful, if you feel that your partner should have showed up or been different for you during Valentine's, it's your work to change that, to journal, to exercise, to meditate, to pray, whatever your preferred way of getting rid of resentments is, go ahead and do that. In fact, this is a very important skill to have an awesome marriage. And so, in one of the modules in my program, Aligned in Hot Marriage, I go into detail because there are so many different ways to clear resentment, and everyone has their own flavor. So, definitely, if you are dissatisfied with your experience on Valentine's Day, clear the resentment. That is your next step. And if you're not sure how to do that, feel free to send me a message or enroll in the Aligned in Hot Marriage program and get the instructions there. So once you've cleared the resentment and are able to be neutral and present, and let me just say, in clearing the resentment, I'm not suggesting that what happened is irrelevant. I'm just suggesting that if you want to reconnect, if you want to have recovery, healing, and erotic connection, despite having a dissatisfying Valentine's Day, the first step is to get clear enough to be open to have that experience. The second step is to focus on what did go well. As human beings, we tend to be conditioned back in primitive times to always be on alert, watching for the lions and tigers, so to speak. And now we do that emotionally as well. We're looking for the lions and tigers, which in this case is having a really disappointing experience on Valentine's Day. And what that means is that we focus on and are alert for and scouting for the things that don't work for us. And typically that means missing what really did work. So, first thing is clear your resentment. And second thing is look at what did work. Did you feel beautiful as you headed out the door? Did the two of you have a really awesome conversation before things went south? What is it? Did you plan well, even if it didn't go according to plan? Did you have fun planning? You can find something that really did work for you, and you don't have to pretend what didn't work for you doesn't matter, but you do get to have a more balanced, accurate picture of your experience. And then this third step is to have a kind, respectful conversation with your partner about it. And when you do, use the rule of five. This comes from the incredible research done by John Gottman, who identified that in couples who have happy, long lasting marriages, at a minimum, they express five positive things for every one negative thing. And expressing a five positive things, that doesn't mean compliments. No, not at all. It means maybe just taking your spouse's hand in a kind way while you're waiting in line, or just saying thank you when she's put the kids to bed, or he, whatever it is. In other words, I said saying 5 positive things. What I mean more is communicating 5 positive things, because as I said earlier, we focus on the negative things. So we need to counterbalance. It's like, sure, in math, 1 equals 1, but in communications, 5 positive communications equals 1 negative one. So that's just to get to neutral. You could actually go for 10 positive things for 1 negative to keep it all positive, although in the moment, using math isn't quite the way to proceed because you're expressing yourself and following your heart. But keep in mind, it's kind of the principle of the compliment sandwich. You've probably heard the compliment sandwich is the best way to give feedback. The 2 slices of bread are saying some positive feedback, and then in the middle, you can give the negative or constructive feedback. Well, I don't know if anyone has actually researched how the compliment sandwich works, which is essentially 2 positive communications for 1 quote negative or constructive one. But when it comes to the person you're living with, when it comes to the person you're married to and in a long lasting relationship with, a compliment sandwich really isn't enough. 5 to 1 is what's needed to keep things smooth. So, if you want to pick something that you wish happened differently on Valentine's and bring it up with your partner so that the two of you can realize and learn from the situation and do better next year, keep in mind the positive things that you want to also mention. When you have this conversation, make sure to ask, what would you need for the experience to be enjoyable? And then you share what you would need for the experience to be enjoyable. And it can be that just having this conversation has you feel more connected, more clear, more loving, more turned on, and then you're good to go. But maybe that isn't the case, in which case, have the conversation. And I highly recommend you redo Valentine's Day using what you've learned about what would make it more enjoyable for both of you. So I'm going to just summarize what I'm saying for the ways to navigate post Valentine fallout. 1, clear your resentments. 2, focus on the things that really did go well and were pleasurable for you, which you may have ignored while focusing on what didn't work. 3, bring it up and discuss it with your partner, but remember the rule of 5 when you do so, and make 5 positive communications for every 1 constructive one. 4, ask your partner what you need to have Valentine's Day feel enjoyable, and be sure to share the same for you. And 5, if you're so inspired, schedule another Valentine's Day. Hallmark says it's February 14th, but who's to say you can't do it again on February 23rd or whatever day you like? Because it's not just to make up for the dissatisfaction of the prior Valentine experience. It's that when you redo Valentine's Day, you give yourselves a new memory, you create a successful experience. And then when next year rolls around, you will feel hopeful and encouraged because you know how to do it. So I'm really curious what you think of this. If you relate to the challenges in navigating post Valentine fallout, and if you don't, well, hallelujah, that's fantastic. But if you do, think of Lene and her husband, who basically just needed to really acknowledge this is the pattern and learn how to transform it. If you enjoyed this episode of the Intimate Marriage Podcast, share it with someone who also wants more joy and more pleasure in their marriage. Be sure to leave a rating and a review, as that helps to spread my message. And if you're ready to deepen your relationship and create a truly intimate, delicious, and vibrant marriage, head over to theintimatemarriagepodcast.com to get started. Thank you for joining me on this episode. See you next time.